Hey, today I want to talk about what it's like to have a prosthetic, a single prosthetic, and go to the gym and try to work out. This has been one of the most challenging parts of having a single prosthetic and a single natural breast for me. And of course, it's a little bit of an issue, but there are ways to get over these obstacles that come up, and I want to encourage you. I almost gave up and didn't join the gym in my neighborhood because of the awkwardness of having a prosthetic, but in the end I found ways to cope and manage it, partly because of the unique situation of my neighborhood gym and partly because I'm just willing to deal with some awkwardness. So I'm willing to be a little bit insecure as I get used to this process. And if you don't know my story, if you haven't watched my dozens of other videos, I had a mastectomy just a couple of months ago, and I have a lot of videos about what that was like and my decision-making process. I will be getting another mastectomy in just a couple of months, probably, but in the meantime I wanted to be as physically active as possible, and for me that means doing it around other people and having some accountability. Just even having a few people there that know I'm going to be there really helps me to show up and do physical exercise, especially in the wintertime. It's so hard for me to do exercise in the wintertime, and so I want to start this really healthy habit. The other reason I want to go to my neighborhood gym on a regular basis, hopefully about 5 days a week, is that they have a sauna, and I've been prescribed by my integrative medical oncologist something called contrast therapy, which is heat and cold therapy. And the easiest way to do this is to either purchase your own sauna or find a sauna somewhere in your community, and then either submerge yourself in cold water or take a cold shower for about 10 minutes after the sauna. And this is not a pleasant experience. I love the sauna because I tend to be a cold person naturally, but I do not like the cold part, and I've been getting used to it slowly, and I really, really value it because I've learned that breast cancer does not like hot environments, and the breast cancer cells do not thrive in an environment of heat, and so that's why sauna is particularly effective for breast cancer survivors and thrivers and those who are hoping to avoid recurrence. So my basic requirements for my local community gym were that they have a sauna, that I can take a shower after the sauna, and that they have a number of attractive and not too ambitious classes offered at the gym for low cost. And I found a screaming deal. My monthly membership is only $25, and I can go to as many classes as I want. There are classes every day, usually 2 classes. One is aerobic, one is more like a yoga Pilates kind of a class. So if you follow me on Instagram, you'll know that I almost crashed and burned and did not end up joining this gym at all. And that's because the first time I was set to go as my trial membership day, it was a Zumba class that was happening, and I was very excited to go to Zumba, but I hadn't really thought through all of the implications for doing an aerobic activity with a prosthetic in my camisole or bra. And when it came down to like a few minutes before it's time to get dressed and get ready, all of the realities came crashing in, and I realized there was no way I was going to go to this Zumba class. Number one, I would be jumping up and down repeatedly, and my prosthetic might move, and it might end up in a place that I didn't want it to be, and that would be really socially awkward. I pictured the room being brightly lit and people seeing me through a mirror just like any dance studio, and I didn't like the idea of that. I also didn't like the idea of sweating profusely and getting sweaty and wearing something like this that has my prosthetic tucked into it, and having to take this off and take maybe the prosthetic out and wash it before putting it into a different bra that was clean afterward after taking a shower. That all sounded just way too involved and way too public, because I just didn't know how I would manage all of that, whether it would be something others would be watching me do or not. So I was very discouraged that first day, and I thought, well, maybe I won't get to do this. Maybe I'll just have to work out at home. And I tried to do that for about a week, and I realized there's no way I'm going to do this. I really need the accountability of going to this public place, making it a habit every morning. And so I just went and finally tried it. And I did, instead of Zumba, I did Pilates, which is much easier. And I wore this camisole and it stayed in place. Pilates is a lot like yoga. It's not very active. You're not jumping up and down. So everything stayed in place. It was great. I didn't sweat very much, so I didn't have to wash my prosthesis. And I didn't have to deal with the awkwardness of that. It was a little awkward going in the sauna the first time. Most saunas, you wrap yourself in a towel, and the towel can kind of disguise any body parts that you're not wanting to show. And so I thought that would be the case for this sauna as well, but they actually do require you to wear clothing in this sauna. So I wasn't able to stay in the sauna very long because I knew I do like to sweat. I like to stay in there a nice long time. My prescription for contrast therapy involves getting to a temperature of 101, so kind of like a fever, and I knew that that would be the healthiest way to go, but I didn't do that this time because I would be sweating by the time I had a fever. And so the second time I went, I started bringing tank tops with me, and I have all these dark colored tank tops that I've collected because one of my symptoms back before I had my mastectomy was that I had nipple discharge and I had to wear these as pajamas at night. And so I've collected a whole bunch of dark colored tank tops that I hardly ever wear anymore, and so they're coming in handy now. And I wear those in the sauna, and I count on getting them sweaty. So it's a little bit more laundry involved, a little bit more planning involved, but it's worth it to me at this point. I really like the classes, and the really cool thing that I've discovered along the way is that the Zumba classes actually are dimly lit. And I don't know if this is a trend going across the US or not, but I think it is that sometimes the clubs that people go to for athletic clubs will dim the lights in some of these classes so that people aren't as self-aware and aren't comparing their performance to other people's performances. And that's true of my gym. And so I do feel a little bit more eager to try the Zumba class now than I did at first. I haven't done it yet, and I am a little insecure about it, but I did talk to the instructor about my situation. And that made me feel a lot more willing to take a chance and see how it goes, and wear my prosthesis in Zumba, and just see where things land and how sweaty I get. After talking to the instructor of that class, I just felt like a lot less self-aware and a lot less insecure about how things would go. And she assured me that the lights would be very dim. The overhead lights would be off, and they just have kind of a Christmas lights set up around the perimeter of the dance studio. So like I said, what I wear to my Pilates and yoga classes so far is just this Amoena camisole that has a built-in prosthetic pocket on both sides. I'll show you what my body looks like at this point because I have these brochures now that I got distributed by a couple of different projects, and one of them is called Not Putting on a Shirt, and I've talked about them in my other videos, but this is what my body looks like now. I have one regular breast there on the right, and I have a flat side here. And so if you'd like to see my video about the prosthesis that I use, I have a silicone prosthesis that I wear on this side, and it is a weighted one, so it does weigh comparably to my natural breast. My prosthetic is also made by the German company called Amoena that made this camisole. They're one of the most highly respected prosthetic manufacturers in the world, and so most of the ones we get here in the US are from Germany. But it fits nicely and sanitarily into a pocket here in my camisole. And it feels pretty natural, it looks pretty natural. I'm pretty happy with it. There are a couple of videos that I've made about some of the challenges of wearing a prosthetic. And in the end, I am going to have a second mastectomy, not mainly because of that, but I am looking forward to just being completely flat, because then I can wear whatever prosthesis I want on both sides and be a little bit more lightweight, because there are some lightweight prosthetics. This one is necessarily heavy because my spine would get out of balance if I was wearing a lightweight one on this side and a natural breast on this side. Now, this comes into the question of when to join a gym as well. I think some women would just wait until they had their second mastectomy if they were in my shoes and join the gym flat so that everyone gets to know you flat. That would be so much more easy just to not have to wear a bra while you're exercising. But I am by nature kind of an advocate and an activist, and I don't mind people knowing what I'm going through. And I feel like that's just an invitation for those who are curious and who are interested in me to ask me about that and find out that I am an advocate for survivors of breast cancer, and maybe that will be something that helps my community in the end. So for me, I've decided that yes, that's going to be an awkward transition. People are going to probably eventually notice, there's something different about her. And that's fine. I'm happy to have those conversations, especially with the class instructors. And if they ever find someone that is coming newly from surgery and wanting to start an exercise plan there, and that person needs support, then they can call on me for sure. So that's nice. So yeah, so far what I wear is not a bra at all, or even a sports bra, but these camisoles that are much like sports bras. They have interior elastic that holds me really tight around the rib cage. And I always have worn my heavier prosthesis because if I wore my little pillow fiber filled prosthesis, I think it would get jumbled and misshapen and misaligned much more easily. And I think my spine would also get more challenged, especially doing yoga and Pilates, and my balance would be off. So I think it is important when you have one natural breast to wear a prosthesis to these classes. It's just a good thing to do, and then you don't get injured, you don't feel off balance or feel like you're at risk of toppling when you feel like you know your body and what it should feel like, and suddenly this weight is not here on this side. It can really throw you off. So I definitely want my weighted prosthetic along for the ride. What I bring to the gym is this bag with a nice big towel for the sauna. I also have brought my own set of shampoo, conditioner, and soap so that I can take a shower. I also bring, I just fill my little bag here, the same bag that has my shampoo and conditioner in it, with underwear, clean underwear. Whenever I do laundry, I put half my underwear in my closet and half my underwear in here, so I know I will always have underwear. And then, like I said, I have at least three of these tank tops in this bag as well. I have a padlock that I use to lock all of this up when I'm in class. I do bring a washcloth on most days to just kind of swab myself in the sauna when I'm sweating a little more heavily. So after aerobics, I tend to sweat a little more heavily. I'm not a big sweater generally, and that's why sauna is really good for me, detoxing all the impurities and the xenoestrogens out of my body. I wear 2 layers of clothing every time I go to the gym, so some kind of spandex underneath my regular sweats or pants. And that way I can just throw it into a pillowcase in my bag here after the spandex gets sweaty. Similarly, I wear kind of a tank top usually over this, and if it gets sweaty near the armpits, I can throw that in my bag but still have a shirt or a t-shirt to put on top. And I do plan on doing a little weightlifting. My new membership came with 2 personal training sessions, and I would like to learn how to do squats and deadlifts in a healthy way so that I can do those kind of in a circuit training, self-guided, regular routine on a weekly basis. So I'll use my 2 personal training hours just to get the posture down and learn how to do things with really good form and safe form and protect my back, because I do really want to protect my bones just in case I ever do have to take any aromatase inhibitors or tamoxifen, which can sometimes challenge your bone health as it takes away your estrogen. I haven't had to take any of those yet, but I think it might be a part of my future, and I don't want to be ignorant of that, or I don't want to deny that that's a reality. So getting strong bones now is a big goal of mine. And it's not just weightlifting that helps your bones, but also aerobics. Anything that where you're jumping up and down, leaving the floor is really good for impact, which builds really strong bones too. So those aerobics classes and Zumba classes will come out really benefiting my bones in the end as well. So thanks for joining me during this crazy, challenging time of joining a gym with a prosthetic breast. And stay tuned to find out how it goes for me long term and whether I stick to it. I hope you'll ask me if you're seeing this a year from now if I'm still a gym member. That will keep me accountable to still doing it. Maybe even in the summertime, but definitely in the fall and winter when it's colder and I can't get out and kayak or do long walks and hikes with my friends. So I will see you in the next video, which will be about the things that I would have never guessed about mastectomy and the process of getting a mastectomy. And I'll see you there. Bye-bye.